All right, so my objective of training, my objective to what my goal is for you to do two things. The objective for the next 2 days is to guarantee that every single person in here hits their first promotion this weekend. I will not accept anybody making less than $100 this weekend, and I will not accept anybody hitting anything less than one promotion. Many of you will hit 2 or 3 promotions this weekend, but I want everyone to hit at least their first promotion. What is your job to get promoted your first 2 or 3 or 4 days? A lot of you will get promoted tomorrow night, your first night right out of training. But my objective is for you to hit your first promotion as a minimum this weekend and make at least $100. Okay, and that's in last week's group. Almost every group this summer, 90% of our reps have made over $100 in their first weekend. So that's my objective for you. My second objective is for everyone to hit at least the 30% commission level before you leave for school. And for those of you who are local, going to school here in the fall, for you to hit 30% before school starts in the fall. That way, for those of you going away, you can come back over winter break or next summer at 30%. And those of you who are staying local, that you can work part-time around your school schedule in the fall if you choose to at 30%. So those are my 2 objectives. Now, how does that happen? There are 4 keys of how to get that, how to make sure that happens. The first is work twice as hard this weekend. Work twice as hard this weekend. Now, I would not normally ask you to do a Cutco demo at like 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night on a Saturday night or on a Friday night. Like, that's not a normal cool thing to do, right? Like, I'm working 9 o'clock on a Friday night or 10 o'clock. But this weekend, I'm going to ask you to go the extra mile and do as many appointments as you can. So when it says twice as hard, it means we'll do twice as many appointments as you normally would. If you're thinking like 2 or 3 appointments a day is a good job, a good day in Cutco, focus on 4 or 5 a day in your fast start. If you're thinking 3 or 4 a day, do 6 or 7 a day. If you're thinking just super part-time, just 1 a day, at least do 2 appointments a day here. So work twice as hard, because if you work twice as hard now, think about how easy the rest of the summer is going to be. I always say, you work hard for your first couple weeks, your first 2, 3, 4 weeks in the job, you get to those higher commission levels. That way, the end of the summer, the last couple weeks of the summer, you can work super part-time, make full-time income. Like, imagine waking up at like noon. Some of you are like, yeah, I've been doing that all summer already. Imagine waking up at noon, doing a couple appointments in the afternoon, but you're already at 30%, so you make a couple $100, and then you like hang the whole night off, you hang out with your friends, you do whatever you do at night, and then you rage or whatever, and then you wake up at noon the next day and you do the whole thing over again. So you can work really part-time, make full-time income, but you got to work hard in order to get to that level. It's not a get-rich-quick program, but those who really go after it in their fast start in their first 10 days, they will reap the benefits later. So the first thing is work twice as hard. I'm going to be a tough coach. We have something called forced accountability. Let's say Joe tells me, hey, I want to do like 10 appointments this weekend. I'm going to really challenge him to go bigger. I'm going to say, Joe, I think you can do 15. I think you can do 20. I'm going to push him to do more than he thinks he can do, because my job is to help you maximize your potential. I'm not going to be mean or a jerk about it, but I'm going to really challenge him to go bigger than he normally would, because if Joe works harder in his first 10 days and he sells more and he makes more, he's going to like me, and I want him to like me. Okay, so that's my job, is to force you to do more than you normally would. Is that fair? Has anybody ever had an easy coach? Like where they just kind of let you do your thing, and it's like, it's fun in the moment, but you didn't really get anything out of the season? Has anybody had a really tough coach that pushed you? Like you hated them in the moment, but then later you appreciated them? So I'm going to be that tough coach. So first thing is work twice as hard. The second thing is a number of appointments this weekend. So 10 appointments is the minimum. Now the weekend includes Monday, so you've got 4 days. You've got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So that's only like 2 or 3 a day. Even with another job, like especially if you have another job, just do 10. Like if you got like a double on Saturday or whatever, and you can only work a little bit this weekend, 10 is pretty easy to fit in, even with a busy schedule. So for those of you with a packed, busy schedule, we're going to try to squeeze in 10 as best as we can. The reason is, as long as you do 10 appointments this weekend, you're guaranteed to hit your first promotion. I'll show you the math behind that later, but it's impossible to not sell your $1,000 and hit your first promotion as long as you do 10 appointments. Now, the average is 15. Most reps shoot for 15 appointments. It's if you have like a relatively open weekend, you've got a decent amount of time in your schedule. 15 is average. It's like 3 or 4 appointments a day, which is a pretty good day. And then if you do that, you're guaranteed your first promotion and most likely your second. And a lot of reps who do 15, they even hit their third promotion. We've had this summer, we've had 13 reps this summer so far, sell $6,000 in their first weekend and make $1,000 in income in their first weekend. Anybody interested in $1,000 in income? So it just takes a lot of appointments. So you just pack your schedule. And then the baller status is 20. Some of you guys are friends with Sean Kennedy. He did 20 appointments in his first weekend. He sold $8,400 in his first 4 days. He made $1,600 by Monday in his first week. Like, that's just absurd. Like, that's the average income for an entire summer for a college student, and he made that in 3.5 days. Like, that shouldn't be legal. It's probably not legal in most states. But anyway, so that's the baller status is 20. So if you have a completely open weekend, just fill it up. You won't regret it, because you don't want to look back and say, well, what if I did more? So 10, 15, 20, that's the number of appointments. Next is phone calls. So making phone calls is not inherently fun. It's not like the coolest thing to do. Some of you guys like talking on the phone, and it's going to be a breeze. I hated talking on the phone, but the phone calls is the most important part of this job. So when we make our phone calls today and tonight, when you go home tonight, it's very, very crucial. This is going to be your number one most important assignment. The most important thing you ever do in this job is going to be tonight. And you're going to make hours and hours and hours of phone calls today and tomorrow, but that's the last time that you're ever going to make hours and hours and hours of phone calls in this job, unless we've got like a big contest that you're shooting for a really high level. We do a really cool thing that before and after every appointment we do, we make 5 quick phone calls. So once your appointments are set, let's say that this weekend you get 15 appointments set, before and after each appointment, all you can do is we make 5 quick phone calls. If you make 5 calls before and after every appointment you do, naturally you're going to fill up the rest of your schedule, because if you're making 10 calls buffering each appointment, you're going to get at least 1 or 2 more lined up during that time, and it's never going to feel overwhelming, because 4 of those people won't answer, 1 will, you book the demo. So it doesn't take a very long time, and it's not overwhelming at all, because you're only making a couple calls here and there at a time. But because your foundation is not set yet, we've got to put in a hyperdrive. We've got to make a lot of phone calls tonight and tomorrow in order to get that foundation set. Once it's set, the job is the easiest job in the world. But tonight and tomorrow, you are going to make hours and hours and hours of phone calls. It's not going to be the most fun thing to do, but if you do it the right way and you put in all your energy for it, the sky's the limit. You're going to be kicking butt this summer. Does that make sense? So like tonight you're going to be like, oh, this sucks, I want to quit, I don't know if I want to do this job. Like, you will feel that. If you don't feel like quitting tonight, you're not making enough phone calls. Like, that's it. That's the thing. You have to challenge yourself, you have to push yourself hard. But again, after tonight and tomorrow morning, you're going to be golden. Also tomorrow morning, and I'll tell you about this later, but breakfast is on me tomorrow morning. Everybody always comes in early. Training starts at 10, but at 8 o'clock we'll have bagels and coffee and stuff for you, so you can make more calls and set up more appointments. Hey, is Kristen Benke out in the hallway? Can you grab Kristen? So Kristen Benke, last week, she made phone calls for like 3 hours on Thursday night. Nobody picked up. She literally called 150 people. 150 people on Thursday night. Nobody answered, because it was Game 6 of the NBA Finals, and nobody was answering their phone. She was so pissed. She called me. She was like, I can't do this job. I don't think it's for me. Nobody's answering. It's going to be way too tough. I was like, dude, just come in at 8 tomorrow morning. She came in at 8 a.m. She got 14 appointments booked up before training started, between 8 and 10. She just sat here. She was sitting right at this desk, right where Alston sits. She was drinking her coffee, eating bagels all morning. She got 14 appointments lined up. She sold $4,000 in her first weekend, made $700 in income, and she's like, I don't know why I was being such a whiny baby. But you know, you never know when people are going to answer their phone. But she really made up for it on that Friday morning. So anyway, that's the third key is phone calls. So tonight, a minimum of 60 minutes. Average of 90 minutes. So if you put in an hour and a half tonight, you should be good. But all of our top reps, they just phone for a couple hours on that Thursday night.